All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Michael Cannon, Strategic Automation Advisor here from Antenna Thrive, and welcome to Elevate 90. Really, just the opportunity to say hi. Uh, Hopefully, be able to provide an opportunity or a chance for you to be able to simplify, automate, and thrive. You know, and Elevate 90 is a way that I go for giving back to the community. And I do this by hopefully learning about various things and sharing what ends up mattering really to us. So please comment, give feedback, and like and subscribe because the show is for you to empower you in being successful to really help overcome the status quo. And don't forget, Elevate 90 is live every Tuesday, Thursday at 4:15 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. All right. It's this is show number this is show yeah show number two, and actually I'm calling it uh triple lot B because this is the first week and just trying to get trying to be able to get things going, figure out how does everything really come together because there's a lot, uh surprisingly a lot that comes into place in order to be able to host a show, even if it's just really turning on the camera. There's so many like little things. It's make sure you got notepad, got no paper, got the drink, got the AC going. That's not not on the fan here. Got the got the light. Okay, not too much stuff going on in the background. Got the robot going. Yay! I will row you. So just yeah. So really, thanks for being here. Uh, Today is about really kind of getting things done because I gotta admit, I'm going to share with you some of the struggles that I've got going on. And so kind of start out with a little bit of how I go for tracking what it is that I'm going to be working on, but then stepping back a little and trying to make sure, hey, is this what I really want to be working on, and am I going in the right direction? So one of the things that you can be able to get out of this is, frankly, the recognition. Are you being true to the things that um, what you're working on? Being able to hopefully recognize that thing called make work, that fun stuff, but it doesn't really move the needle. Hopefully, being able to have some courage to avoid getting into that make work and try to be able to find signs to bring yourself back into working what you really should be working on. So one of so let's kind of get into it. Thanks. So for today's agenda, we're going to start with the discussion about really what I consider how do we get through how do we get through the day, and in particular, I admit it's going to be from my perspective because that's really what I kind of know, and but I can also share some of the experiences of having a couple hundred employees and being the leader amongst them and working through things. Uh, so, anyways, so for today's agenda, we're going to start with what's kind of changed from the last show. Next, an overview of getting things done. Then we'll dive into some specifics about that. Then, depending upon the time, we'll take a 5 minute break. And then after that, because really, since the show is about the community, and it's really one of the things that I've missed being part of from, say, the open source community, is we'll dive into the Make community, try to answer some questions or be able to explain some of the solutions that's in there. See if we can identify some trends. And then along the way, if in the chat channel, you can pop up your questions. I just realized now, where is my chat channel? Oh boy. Oh, there it is. So there we go. So hello, everyone. And just in case you didn't know, all right, there we go. Dajah! All right, so yeah. All right. So and okay, so yep. So again, along the way, ask your questions there in the chat, and then lastly, we'll end with we'll go for ending with the recap and some little bit of gratitude. So stepping back, I'm I'm a huge fan of continuous improvement, and it's a case of, despite coming from the technical background and hoping to be able to 10 by 100 by things that we work on, I realized that being able to 10 by 100 by things, that's a lot of effort. And sometimes, frankly, you just get lucky in in having those times. But the way that I'm able to remain moving forward in things is I just focus on the little incremental continuous improvement of things. And sometimes I admit it's a bit overboard, and I'll actually get into some make stuff that I think is kind of going on the overboard in a little, yeah, a little bit later. That's kind of related to, yeah, that's kind of related to this. Mm, and so I can share with you, some of that, particular struggles of how, we can accidentally be going overboard. But really, I, I think having a moment of reflection as part of this show to say, hey, this is what stood out to me the last time that we had the show, and as a win, it's like, hey, I showed up. I remember talking about having a show, at the last place I was working, and while there was excitement around it, it was like so much kind of pushback of all the little things that had to happen beforehand that I felt constrained. And I realize now that, hey, actually they were more knowledgeable about the topic, but end of the day, I had found myself just struggling, just getting this up and running. It's just really just hit that live button and and go. But still, I'm just happy that, hey, we're here on show number two. Now, one of the things that I actually was thinking behind the shows is like, hey, let's just do, ad hoc support and just kind of show up and do stuff, and realize that, yeah, in theory, even though I'm a great kind of extemporaneous person to show up and do stuff, it just doesn't work out that way. There's always a little bit of wonkiness. So I've come to realize where instead of being 80% inspiration, 20% preparation, it's now like 80% preparation and then 20% inspiration. So uh, yeah, what's the old phrase? Plan, plan. It really does help get things done and sorted out. Now, lastly, as a gratitude, I gotta admit, my wife is absolutely incredible and very supportive during this time. And what I mean by during this time is, uh, frankly, in the last month, I'm kind of laid off of an incredible job of 12 years, and so I'm kind of going through my own doubts of, hey, how do I get going again? As you kind of see, I'm a little bit this fuzzy wuzzy kind of guy. A little bit, I got beautiful lights, so you don't quite see all that gray that's in there. If this is coming in, but I'm a little bit of an older person. I'm coming out of, uh, yeah, really kind of just recognizing that it's a chance to change things up, and still just kind of figuring out. It's like, so right now, I believe that automation has been a way forward, but actually, as I will discuss a little bit later, in getting the things that we are working on done, ah, we can question that stuff. All right. So, anyways, along the way, I'm very happy and grateful that Juan is, calm and supportive in these things. And so, for this show, as I kind of implied, the things that's changed from the last show to this show is really it's a lot more planning up ahead. I actually got an agenda behind the scenes. It's like, hey, if I can share that screenshot. Yeah, let's see. Where are we? Yes, allow us for 1 month. Elevate B. Yes. So if we go wrong screen, share the screen. Yeah, you know what? Life happens. Stop there. Go to this screen. Now we share the screen. There we go. Yeah, so it's a case of learn how to shoot these buttons. So yeah, so there's a bit more planning that's been involved. If you kind of showed up on Tuesday, you would have seen that. Yeah, it wasn't quite as straightforward with really with kind of the planning in place. And now I just realized, oh hey, through the scenes, I can actually keep something sitting in the background, come back over here to where I'm at. All right, I just want to see. Okay, is it? Oh, that changes that. Okay, all right. So sorry, got to get back over here. Take a look here. So yeah, end of the day, I just want myself and all of us to be, purposeful in what we're doing. So again, that's kind of why I have the show, is a little bit of a way for me giving back, being a mentor, and sharing some of my journey and really kind of getting things done, and the general topic around the automation stuff. So get into today's topic, getting things done. All right, I'm going to switch over here and actually kind of change up my journal screen that I want to be working with. All right, so yes, lovely. You got the got the things that's going on back here. So not ready. Somewhat. And yes, it is a bit of the last minute of trying to figure out, okay, hey, what is it that I want to, sure. The topic is, getting things done. And frankly, there are so many ways of identifying what is it that you want to get done and how to approach it. And I'm a really big just try to figure out the tidbit of information that's coming out of the chaos of, okay, what is it that I got to focus on and move forward with. And so sometimes I do just come down to the point of just, hey, having a literally like a to-do list, and I got this piece of paper and scratch some notes in it. It's like, oh hey, a bilingual MOU signs is something, and oh yeah, and post up on X that, hey, there's something to be doing. But in other ways, there's the to-do list that could be coming out of, say, Trello or Jira, or again, our Notepad, or maybe a task or notes that's within, say, the Apple system. And then there's other ways of, kind of like what I happen to be experimenting with and really seem to be liking, is trying to get simple, but still having my list, available to me wherever I am, whether it's up on the mobile, or got my iPad going, or here in the calendar, is like, say, Google Tax, which was actually really kind of a surprise, because frankly, with the break in work last month, it really kind of shook me up, and so I'm kind of using this as an opportunity to really challenge the status quo on really a lot of how I'm doing things. And while sure, I can talk about, hey, I go for building up my list by identifying, hey, things what I got to work on like today, because that helps me understand my, what's today's priority about stuff. And then it's like, okay, stuff that's coming up in the week. Okay, maybe some idea of what's going on behind the scenes in the next 30 days. Okay, and then it's kind of like, okay, I get ideas about creating content or stuff that I want to study or learn, or some longer term stuff of, I want to be working on my make a partner certification. And then of course there's this, you get these ideas that happen to come along, and it's like, well, it's they end up kind of being, the nice to haves. And then now there's this one particular project that I'm be working on, which is my social media marketing, content development, and publishing, and things like that. No, I'll share it a bit. And something that I actually find is pretty critical is the let it go list. It's why I also jokingly will call it the black hole. I've got a black hole that's like 15 years old, and it's like, wow so long. And I would love to just be able to hit the delete key, but it's a little bit of a psychological thing of being able to say, hey, I've got I think I got something I want to work on, say like setting up a recurring newsletter promotion. And when I'm working through the weekly planning or the daily planning of stuff, and I can be able to move this stuff, I can be able to move this stuff around, adjust, yeah, adjust the priority of it to mm, so to say the timing, but even just recognize that, hey, I thought this was a good idea, and really I should just let this go. So move it over. And I really got to say, it's like five nines of the time. Once I let it go, it's not coming back. But just having that mental stability of allowing something to sit in a let it go spot, so that I still recognize that it had some value to me. I'm not just completely letting go. I'm just saying that, hey, it's really not now, and it's probably not going to be a never. But just in case, you can always bring it back. So yeah, there's that kind of a thing. But when I really was wanting to come back around for this stuff. Oh my gosh, see, look at this. Uh, all right, so first off, let's actually, I can stay up there. I realize now that, and I'm so sorry, that the uh, window here uh, wasn't sharing. All right. And this is an example of why I wanted this week to practice things, because here I am talking about uh, all right. Apologies for a moment. I want to open up a new window someplace and figure out what's being streamed. So, all right. So I see. Okay. So it is coming. All right. So what I'd done is gone and checked out my stream on another system, because when I had come back over to my restream control window here, it was just blank. And I'm like, no. So yeah, really, there's the frustrating kinds of things of, hmm, just gotta go with it. All right. So losing our pace. I don't think I kind of really want to get into is, sure, here's a methodology of keeping track of the things that I got to be working on, and even being able to have a way to recognize that, hey, I have an idea, I just want to store it someplace, to, hey, I've got a bunch of important things to do, towards even more importantly prioritizing within that important stuff. Because sure, you got 100 things that are important to do in our life, but we're not going to get to every single one of them, because, well, spreading ourselves across 100 things, much less even just 10 things, doesn't really give much of our attention or energy to those 10 things. And so prioritizing amidst even the and important things is pretty critical to working on the stuff that really matters. So, so for example, it's like, hey, we've got due today. This is the stuff that I really got to be working on, to be making some progress, for the bigger things that I've got going on. So it's like, hey, create my initial blog content, and basically pull together a much better agenda for Tuesday's show. But then behind the scenes is like, okay, hey, in this coming week, I need to make sure I update my make community stuff, and ask Raul about, hey, where's my my training certifications, because which changing organizations that make a little bit of a cumbersome, being able to ensure that your certifications follow you from organization to organization. But stepping back is, how do we know what is on this list is even the stuff that I should be working on? And so, pardon, oops. And so it's validating the direction that you're going in is a bit of the deeper dive that I've got for this moment. Is we've got this list, we've got the important things written down, we've got the priorities noted, but does those priorities really align with what is it that we want to be accomplishing at this point in time? And for myself, I gotta admit, this is a bit of a struggle. I was finding myself immersed. Okay, there's something I want to find. Kind of okay. All right, so coming back over here, go over here. Okay, so I've been finding myself immersed and just kind of working on this my blog content generation stuff, and being able to take a long document of some ideas that's been pretty much stretched out, start creating the content along the way, keep track of the iterations of things, how it's coming along, uh, actually work on the internal content itself, really to kind of pull it together and then bring it back together, have reflections and finalize the SEO, and then hit the grammar, and then be able to prettify the thingy and line it up, and then go create some conceptual images and throw it out there. Well, seriously cool stuff. But as I'm doing it, I'm like, is this really the right thing that I should be working on? And while I initially set out for Antenna Thrive to be about role-based automation training and consulting, and I believe that there's still that to happen, I'm also coming to the realization that there's a lot of people that is doing automation stuff. And then also with the aspect of multi-agent AI coming into play, where you actually have more than one LLMs, large language models, or ChatGPT, as you might want to consider it, being able to take on each one of those, being able to take on some kind of a persona, let's say a role persona or a job persona of a business, and combine them together, and suddenly you're going from the ChatGPT as a content author to the ChatGPT being the marketing director, to uh, being able to say, as CEO or the founder of the company, to tell the marketing director, say, hey, I have a new launch of coffee mugs. Let me know. Main Life, thank you for you're not sponsoring, but you gave me a coffee mug when I was back in Portland, Maine, earlier in the year, because I didn't have one. But gotta love it when you lose the thought trains. All right, so on the automation thing, but automation, that's right, multi-agent AI is coming around, and so with automation, it's been a lot of people kind of digging in and sharing about all these different ways of how automation can help, and building up these scenarios, a little bit like what I kind of showed. And frankly, actually, what I just showed was really a very simple straight line. I come out of an organization where we're utilizing Make Enterprise, and wow, it's like you could have these beautifully spread out scenarios, and when the kicker was they all were kind of like integral to working with each other, whereas scenario is not really standalone, but it's a part of a system itself. And actually that was something I absolutely loved, and I had seen the direction of really intelligent automation. It isn't just about this one little thing, it's about bringing everything together. And in many ways it's like with the multi-agent capabilities coming through, I see that it isn't so much anymore, or actually it's going to be getting to a point of where it's not us doing the automation build out ourselves really anymore. We're going to have these agents that are able to be doing more of the work itself for us. Heck, Google just, I think it was Claude, and they're talking about, hey, Claude can manage your computer. Well, that's not too much farther away from Claude working on a Zapier or a Make interface on your behalf, connecting tools that you've given Claude permission to integrate with. And so I'm in a little bit of a crisis because I knew a few years ago that this situation of multi-agent AIs were coming into place. And so as I'm kind of like working on my automation for uh, to be better promoting and TennaThrive for being able to be a strategic advisor for automation, a coach, and a trainer around the kinds of automation that would be making things better and different for us. I'm starting to realize that, what I was thinking about a couple of years ago of business in a box, it's more real today than it ever was. And if you all want to get into knowing what's going on, Crew AI should be okay. So Crew AI is really one of the incredible multi-agent platforms that's going on. And actually, for those of us that was part of the Agents Week this past week, we're getting access to a wider range of the platform. And the reason why that's important is all that work that I've been kind of doing to create good content articles, line up this prompt with this reflection, followed up with some cleanup and some other stuff. It's going to become a point of I'm just chatting into Crew AI saying, hey, I want to be able to create long form. I want to be able to create long form articles, this kind of perspective, these kinds of points. And the thing just goes and hits it. And it's like, okay, hey, make sure there's some reflection stuff in there. And while sure, we can have a collaborative chat right now with ChatGPT and others to do these step by step, or the chain of consciousness, chain of thought style prompting. What's going on is we don't have to be building this stuff anymore. The system itself will be building it, and we have a collaboration with with the system to modify things. So I gotta admit, I'm like building my stuff yesterday and having a thought: Am I building what I really should be building? And it's because they're recognizing that yesterday there wasn't this easy access to multi-agent systems. Today, there should be easier access because I mean I haven't checked my email, and gotta admit it's 4:45 in the morning for me. So so I don't expect others to be up at 4:45 a.m. But good evening, good afternoon. Hope you're enjoying your lunch over there in the United States. It's So I don't have my basically I don't have my Crew AI login yet. So it's not ready. In a few hours I'll be able to start going to Crew AI and doing stuff. But multi-agent, it's going to be one of the things where reality is going to be pretty close to the hype. And the reason being is the demonstrations of what Crew AI is being able to pull off of multi-agents being able to talk with each other and do things of take literally thousands of hours that people are working on, say, monitoring things, and pull it down to really just a single system, uh, to be able to do similar monitoring and actually increase the effectiveness of it is real. You've got systems monitoring, say, sports productions and being able to notice that, hey, the football score just happened. Okay, and I'm kind of talking American soccer, but but for the rest of the world, football, it's like, yeah, goal. And since that just happened, the system automatically recognized that, hey, the previous 10 seconds before that ball went in and the post 5 seconds of the crowd going wild is a good snippet. And there are systems automatically creating that. It's not really even a human being involved in being able to extract that. Hey, this is an important moment for us, and bring it through. And so that's why I'm having a little bit of a crisis, and why, despite the fact that I recognize there's important things to be doing and there's priority of the things to be doing, but and are we working on the right things? And the right things kind of don't get to be known until we understand, why are we here. For me, and for me personally, why am I in life is to live fully by living differently. It's to take bigger care of myself, to have healthy relationships, be an inspiring leader, and to be doing it through smiling, demonstrating respect, and having purpose. But when we come to Intent to Thrive, and it's like, whoop, sorry, Grammarly, it's about helping people focus on what truly matters to them, to help them get through the daily tasks, through role-based automation and hands-on consulting, to be that bridge between intent and outcomes. And it's like, well, yeah, I got these fancy words that are written down. Having my own crisis of validation. Is this the right thing to be doing? Am I providing the right service for folks? So later today, I'll be taking some time to, uh, step back, think, try to make sure I'm and Intent to Thrive is going in the right direction. So then that affects um, the picking of the things that are that are to be done, which then kind of goes back and then affects, okay, what is being considered my critical path, uh, no, for stuff, because really the role that us humans are playing in the work that we're doing is changing. We are so much more going into the architect, the creator, the inspiration, the director of what it is that we want to accomplish. And it's a system that will be working on that, how it gets done. So as a human, we got to be working on the whys and the whats, and let systems be handling the house. So we might do some collaboration, hopefully, with with the whats. All right. So this ended up being a little bit longer, kind of going in. So I really, really appreciate the chance to kind of talk about, identifying, kind of tracking stuff that gets done, validating the direction that we're going in. And so with that, I actually just want to take a little bit of a early bio break, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. So it's like 4:50 a.m. here. So I'll see you at 4:55 p.m. There in Eastern time. Cheers. All right. Thank you so much for that chance to just kind of take that little break. And I think that's even something else to call out. We need a moment to ourselves sometimes. And hmm, appreciate you allowing me that chance and coming in, being there for me. Mm, I admit I'm like wildly doing things in the background, trying to figure out what's going on. Ah, yeah, in doing new things, it takes a little bit of work. All right, so now we kind of dove into this other thing. Actually, let's get into why I really started this show in the first place, and that is working with the community. So let me. That's live. That's Elevate 90. That's this window. All right. So admit I'm not fully up on. Okay, so that's my stream thingy over here. Okay, so one of the things that's going on is each day I'm try to go, or most days of the week, try to be uh, a helper over there in the Make community. And so one of the things I'd like to try to do is see places where I might be able to help out, where maybe take a look at some conversations that have happened and try to be able to work through things together as a way to kind of show how is it that I sort of think through trying to solve issues, and then even mm, get in the position of being able to help others solve the situations that they have. And so, yeah, all right. Well, it looks like all right. So it looks like they solved the problem. So in this particular case, we've got Ruchika was saying, "Hey, I've got this array aggregator that's spitting out more than one bundle, because you can tell by there's being 33 runs on this on the array aggregator, but then the Airtable that's following up, it's got 30, got 33 more." And I had responded that, hey, I think you might have accidentally been doing something that would have a unique value where there's 33 of them within the group by, but apparently they solved it by figuring out that they were grabbing the wrong data. All right, so congratulations, way to go on that. Let's see over here. Oh yeah, talking about timeouts. When we are dealing with makes, when we're dealing with make, it can be a situation where maybe a module is timing out on us. So say like in my particular case, I can have a visual AI request. Yes, there's open AI modules, but frankly, they fail way too often, or they just don't work. So, anyways, through utilizing the HTTP key auth or API key auth means I can actually send images or image data off to OpenAI. But anyways, the fact is these can fail. And so if this first module here happens to fail, then let's sleep for like 15 seconds before we come back around. And I realized, actually this would be some, as I'm kind of explaining these things, it'd be good that I walk around a bit of it too. Good email splash. All right. I think this is, yeah, this is it. Ooh, I get it right. Okay. So in this particular case, this scenario is actually going for reading an email, converting it into a content source, grabbing information about the image through some processing, saving it back to the system, and then having that email with the image that come in, get turned around and be recreated as content. So one of the things that we have going on here is the image that's coming in from email has been uploaded to image. Oh yeah, there's my key. Great. Got to figure out how to block screens from now on. Okay, I mean that was a bad juju thing. This is why either you turn this stuff into variables. Oh, that's actually a really good one. You know what? Since I already okay, we'll come back to sharing. talking about variables. Okay, so in this particular case, we want to evaluate the air states. So in case the system can fail, then we say yes to evaluating air states. And so if an error happens, typically the errors that I encounter with these kinds of things is timeouts. So if it times out, or maybe some other wonky thing, maybe an intermediate 500 error happens to pop up, then let's just sleep for 15 seconds and literally run the module again. Okay. So after that sleep, it's just literally just do a clone, attach it. But what the catch is, put a resume on it. And this resume, since this module is on the air path, it basically takes the source code, the data that actually worked for itself, and pushes it back into here. So then we actually have a chance for having our success. So this is a bit of what's going on over here. It's like, hey, since Claude might be timing out every now and then, let's just put let's just recognize that a timeout can happen. So let's pause on it and then move forward. All right, now I realize now, since I've already shared my particular key over here, so slight subject change. Yeah, okay, so we'll close that one. All right, so for those of us that are like on teams or pros, make plans or beyond, we actually have the ability to have team variables and things like that. And yes, that's my key. Guess what? I'm going to be changing it here soon. And I realize that despite best intentions, sometimes I'm quickly building scenarios, and I think that's a good conversation. Let me remember that. It's like scenario build, steps. Okay. For me, I really just try to go for building things up incrementally, simply, and then try to be working in the maintainable and efficiency kind of aspects. But one of the things that's going on is I really should have had this as being a variable, and so then this value is just maintained in one spot. So let's go see how we can do that. Now, Make actually provides variables in a couple of different spots. One is on the team level, which does this thing ever load up? It gets there. All right. And if I was really smart, I would copied and paste. I would have copied this key so I can work with it. Now, Teams is actually, I really miss having Enterprise because uh, with Enterprise, you can be able to have multiple teams, and where this is actually really handy is when you can be able to separate your production, your environment. You can separate out your basically your testing environments, your development environments, the production environments, and then actually that was really cool, having personal environments. So that way, other people of the organization in the personal space can be creating their own automations and having a safe space to do it without affecting the production stuff. So in this particular case, this is kind of like high level stuff. So if you want to like, who is the boss? Yeah. We can have a have a new variable that Juan is the boss. But over here, we actually want API MHBB. Yeah, not a great thing. And so I admit less than optimal. Alternative would be dealing with keys, but I also am in a position of where ImageBB is, it passes things in the clear anyways. So case of it is what it is, so we just leave it alone. All right, so anyways, to get the variable out of here, Now, whoops, let's refresh this window. Gotta admit, my house in the US has got like 400 megabit a second data connection. And supposedly I actually have fiber optics coming into this house here. It doesn't act like it. So there you go, API, ImageBB. Let's copy that, drop that in, and there you go. All right, so just a quick sample of using variables so that you've got a situation where you're not repeating yourself. Don't repeat yourself. I love that. Okay, so, oh yeah, and since we had Juan's section in here, we'll just come over here and who's the boss is Juan there. So that's a way to be able to utilize variables coming through and up on that one. Let that one go. Edit. Bye-bye. All right. Next person up. Okay. So in this particular case, Airtable, for whatever reason yesterday, was just having fits. So it's kind of throwing 422 errors all over the place. And it's just really, just kind of, well, I meant my response here is, hey, once you try checking out the Airtable API conversations around what would be 422s, and then even seeing if we can refine that further. That was invalid request. Invalid. Yeah, invalid request. Oh, okay, it's right there, it's sitting right there. These, while it's frustrating getting these error messages, it is a way to go back into, say, the module owners or the module systems documentation. And for, say, like the Airtable API, I usually just Google searched Airtable API to try to find my documentations, look for, say, invalid requests, and that gets me into this page to help me understand, hey, request is invalid. These might be ways that you can check how the data is being pushed. And I admit sometimes this is not very helpful because it's like ensure content type is application JSON headers included if you're making post put a post path. And frankly, that stuff only makes sense if there's post put patch and if you are working with, say, your JSON types. Okay, so now that can be an explanation of, hey, why doesn't my API call go through? Well, we need to configure the HTTP module to fit the format of what they want. But since in this particular case, post is like a push, it's actually like create first time, it's got that information. All right, so yay, Ruchika's going well. All right, next one up. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is kind of a fun situation. So this particular person, they want to monitor the reactions that's coming out of Discord message. And so as you can see, the bundle of information coming out of Discord for this particular message, it's got some reactions, it's got some some plus and minuses. But the person was wanting to see, well, how do I actually work through how do I actually handle more than one reaction? And it's a case of you want to end up playing with the iterator. So you've got a data bundle coming out of I mean, I don't think this is quite the right situation. You know what? So another lesson to me, make sure I've got my demos built. along the way. So anyways, for this uh, person here, they're just getting a result of one, but they want to actually get the two. And so what was coming through was do the iterate on the iterate through on the bundles itself. So if we kind of think about um, so what's going on is our email had some attachments that's coming through. And if you notice, it's got that double, it's got the square brackets on it, which tells us that it's an array, or at least a multi-part array, whereas like the headers is a simple array. But when we've got arrays, we can iterate through them, which then means that we're going to process things one at a time, such that if we are looking at this key or the value, it's like when the iterator goes through, it's like, hey, I might have had multiple files of information, but it's going to just give me one thing at a time. So that's where applying the iterator to the reactions on this Discord response would allow the person to work through keeping track of the iterator information. Now, that said, we didn't get into talking about the counts or stuff like that, and we can talk about that another time. Fun times. OpenAI. I gotta admit, I've been a little bit frustrated between making OpenAI, especially as I'm trying to work with images. But that's what's going on. Now, one of the things that is most frustrating about being a developer is it works for me. For this particular person, Asmang, they're able to send requests across, but when they're utilizing zero, saying, hey, let's utilize 0 tokens and let's see, 0 max tokens. Where are we at? Social, let's go to something different. 125. Let's do 125. All right, so when we're processing our completion requests, there is this option to have max tokens. Frankly, I'm not a fan of doing 0. I happen to be utilizing this method in one of my systems of using 0, but by providing tokens, it actually helps constrain the amount of information that's going to be responded back to you. But in this particular case, this person wants to be able to use 0, and for whatever reason, it's just not working. And I felt kind of bad that, hey, max token zeros works for me, and the yeah, so there's also the situation of sometimes we're going to encounter an error where it doesn't work, or it works for me, but it doesn't work for you. And there's usually all kinds of side things behind, things going on behind the scenes that keeps us from being able to solve it. Way too much fun. All right. Kind of an interesting thing is sometimes when we go to solve a problem, so here we've got JP that wants to listen to a podcast and have it available to them within a ChatGPT window. You got ChatGPT, but in their particular case, let's see, yeah, we're here. They have a custom GPT, and why it's special is because they've got knowledge information in there. And why that is important is because, what's the color scheme? Whoa. Okay. For branding. What's the colors? All right, that shouldn't, well, all right, something funky is going on because actually the branding guide is got the color palette. Oh, so whoops. So is it, I need to ask about the color palette? Ah, yeah. How is it getting that? Hmm. All right. Because color palette's something else. So I think there might be some other overriding information. But anyways, um, actually, Urina is a mascot for the company. Oh, wait, I am just bombing today. Why, why isn't? Ah, gotta love it when things go awry and you get distracted. But anyways, I've got JP wanting to have podcast information that's been transcripted. So basically, take the transcripts, convert them over to a file. In this particular case, say PDF, and then upload that information into their cousin GPT. And so we kind of have a conversation about, well, you can actually fully automate this, but what you'd be working with is working with working with an assistant where the assistant actually has a vector store behind it. And the reason why that's important is because you can manage the vector store yourself and do it in a do it on an automated basis. Well, yeah. So in this particular case, so like I'm reading. Oh, actually, I don't quite have this one up and running, but for here, conceptually, is reading through a Google Drive for some Markdown files, and then turn them over to the. Sorry, turn them into turn them into files that gets uploaded to OpenAI, and that vectors or those files are then associated with, say, my Antenna Thrive store, and then the assistant answers questions based upon that. And it's different than the cousin GPT because the cousin GPT over here, you can upload 10 files. That's it. Okay. But with the assistant, I could have hundreds, thousands of files associated with it and being able to relatively and quickly respond to this stuff. The bummer about the assistants is when you go to interact with them, is it's not a case of, all right, let's just throw something on here. Working with OpenAI, where we're typically working with completion, this would be the assistant, and we want to work with. Dun, 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 dun. Swear this stuff is slower every day. All right, so the assistant is not something that we can chat directly with. Sure, in my playground, I can talk with my assistant, but it's not. Uh, yeah, it's very basic. I just want to say it's like, sure, I can do stuff here, but this is not a practical interface to share with an organization or something. And wow, oi. So, anyways, there should be a little drop down that says, "Hey, I want to work with the Antenna Thrive assistant," and then I can ask my question, and then we go on from there. All right. So, what's interesting is trying to define your problems. It's like when we start working on something, we don't may not necessarily actually have that problem fully understood for ourselves up front, and it actually takes having a conversation and getting some ideas, going back and forth to figure out, hey, how can I actually resolve this thing? And in this particular case, it's like, hey, JP, this is feasible to fully automate it. We can look at it from another direction. But then the other thing that's kind of going on is just like, well, okay, hey Michael, much appreciated. I got the right idea, but I'm also being cost conscious, and I also don't want to go to such an extent, and that is perfectly fine. We have our own reasons. It's like what is it's your normal, it's your perspective, your situation, and I have no rights to say that this is right, wrong, better, worse. It's just all different to me. All right, and I actually appreciate being able to have those differences. Mm, but anyways, in the problems that we work through, we may not necessarily have all the information. Often we don't have all the information. And I also even find myself, hey, is this really the thing that we want to be working on? So uh yeah, so when you're working with ChatGPT, there is ways to push information into it through the vector stores, and it's actually really, really incredible. I actually have built Slack bots that converse with ChatGPT the through the assistant, and so what that means is like you've got a company Slack channel that's talking to the company Slack chat bot. And so the information that's coming back is being relevant, not like what I was having trouble with for the color schemes, which I think is probably a case of there's some conflicting information. And that's something else that I've kind of realized is when you are working with mm, ChatGPT or other conversational AIs, is sometimes you can actually get way too much information and it ends up clogging things. Oh, hey, look, there you go. All right, so now I can have the assistant and um, oh yeah, actually, what's really cool about it, Assistant, I know I just closed that screen, but the key is that thread ID. You want to be able to have a conversation that remembers what was going on in the past. That thread ID is critical. And what's also really cool is, say, where I was talking about utilizing ChatGPT or having a conversational chatbot in Slack, is we track thread IDs to literally Slack threads. So if you open up a new conversation, that's a new thread ID, it's a new conversation. Wait, something is really weird because Runa is like Runa. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's a case of sometimes things just don't work through. All right. Now, one thing that's kind of going on for, did they give her a name? All right, strengths challenges. Mm, there's this little bit right here. Their strength challenges run into the situation of they're putting the row number as mailed, and the response is Q when it should be a number. So it should be this row number up here. And actually, I'm just going to save the image and let's mark it up real quick and toss it back to them. Hello, there we go. And I admit this is something I should have done in the first place. There we go. All right, let's respond to them. Upload button, downloads, upsy daisy. Hello, strength. All right, howdy, strength. All right. So let me get it. And put the things change to row number variables originally. Row number. Positive integer. There we go. And I always know, even to me, I'm like, okay, am I sure the person even understands row number is the sheets row where the information originally came from and is used to know where to update. All right, sometimes you just gotta call it good enough. All right, hopefully that gets him going in the right direction. Woohoo! See. Yeah, this, sometimes we just get connection errors. Oh my gosh. I was having bane with connection issues on oh, so it's 43 modules on that thing. 44. All right. So yeah, I was having connection issues like crazy with Google. For whatever reason, sometimes you actually need to have things work outside of the typical OAuth. And so I ended up needing to create a HTTP based OAuth for Google with a bunch of scopes for handling files. And yeah, it's separate by space header. Okay. And in this particular case, sometimes it just seems to be warranted to just try deleting the connection itself. Yeah, so we'll kind of mark this up and get a little tip. That's no fun. All right, so let's just do one for there, one for there. Yeah, let's give this a little whirl. Gotta have some curves. Why didn't that one curve up? Oh, well. And then all right, so we'll call that one good. Oh, machine watch tell me, hey, it's time to go work out. Bring it up. No, gotta run. Gotta run. T. Gotta run. How do I spell? Guarantee. Guar. No guarantee. But dropping the connection and making a new, especially when it's custom, could help. All right, there we go. Some responses. Huh. I gotta admit, I'm actually finding myself in the position of to go out of my phone. Yeah, so you can add your phone to talk with Make. That's interesting. I didn't know about that one. So, so what's going on is you can have devices. Uh, this guy's, huh, interesting. I admit this is something I'm just starting to play with my. Nah, I was about to say is an awkward thing. So, got to admit. All right, so we got the phone, got this connection. It's something that I'm still kind of working on, trying to figure out how to deal with. But but it seems like just as they were saying, is how do we, or actually, how can they reconnect? And gotta admit, I don't see it either. Hmm. Yeah. Yep. All right. Sorry for distraction. All right. So yeah. So I gotta agree. Is there anything I can say to help out here? Reach out to make support. Yeah, that's why I could. That's what I just make the recommendation. Reach out to support. They're actually pretty good these days. Actually, kind of impressed. Hmm. Not being able to reconnect either. I even checked. So I suggest reaching. All right, so that's off and running. Wow, I'm kind of hungry. How about y'all? Interesting. So, hmm. So this is nice thing actually. Since we started the session, so here we go. Newbie here, trying to create a workflow, updates some estimates, creates a record from Airtable. Certain main ways filter does not duplicate records in Airtable. Most common way is to speech switch writer, so it's definitely the last filter is problematic. Yeah, total number of bundles almost always is not going to be zero. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Actually, this is actually some good information because they ain't kidding. The make is pretty type specific, and what that means is, yeah, fine. We'll just go here, grab this, take a look. So type specificity actually comes out of programming where you, oh my gosh, I've forgotten strong typing or something like that. I can't remember. All right. So anyways, we're dealing with numbers. So we need to be making sure that we are dealing with those kinds of checks. So if we're dealing with numbers, we need to be dealing with numeric checks. If we're dealing with dates, we need to be dealing with dates. Um, Something that I've learned, just as a little caveat, when we're talking about time operators, that really is like the hours and minutes bit stuff. I would probably say 90% of the time, we're just going to be dealing with date time operators. So you can actually equal that to a particular date, things like that. All right. So that's what it means by being strongly typed. Oh, there we go. That's the phrase. Wow. It's completed. How minutes. The ticket. Yep. Hmm. Yeah. So that already is kind of sorted out there. Let's see. All right. You know what? I'm going to have to call it for that. So, all right. Gonna bring it around. So, really, thanks. Thank you for the opportunity to kind of share the thinking through on how we can be able to support automation. Earlier in the day, we were talking about, hey, how getting things done, and how for myself, after many years of mm, being Jira based and Apple Notes across multiple platforms, how I've transitioned over to um, utilizing Google Tasks and just kind of run each set of tasks based upon the time frame, and then use cycling precedence, priority to identify the stuff that I could be working on. But what's more important is making sure that your tasks line up with the things that you need to be working on in the first place. So yeah, so make sure you know what your purpose is and what it is that you're going to be working on, because that's something I got to be working on later today. But really, you know, I I'm really grateful for your time and your patience here. This is, like I said, my first week of bringing this together, still figuring out how to be doing things, even like these little CTA stuff, getting it, getting it sorted, getting it sorted out, and having the kind of this fun stuff. But really, I'm very grateful to all of you for taking this time with me, and I will strive to have things better organized and a little bit more uh, tighter, the next time we show up on Tuesday of next week. So thank you so much. Yeah, I admit I'm going to drop us a few minutes early, but still, in a way, that's one thing I liked about work is, hey, when the meeting's done, it's done. No reason to stick around. So thank you, everyone. You have an incredible, let's see, well, for me, it's going to be an incredible Friday. The clouds are a little bit coming in, but for you, have an incredible Thursday evening. Maybe taking care of